All right, Libra, let's get into your reading. So, the message that I have for you today is this, and it carries some serious weight. There is a successful person connected to your energy, and two things about you intimidate them deeply. They will never openly admit what shakes them, because doing so would expose a vulnerability they guard. The connection here is not forgettable. It is the kind that disrupted their entire sense of control. You walked into their world and shifted something fundamental, and they have not been the same since. What intimidates them is not something you perform, it is something you carry naturally, without even trying. Two things that shake them are woven into who you are, and you could never turn them off. They tried to rationalize it, minimize it, push it aside, but your impact only grows stronger. They built their life around certainty and accomplishment, and then you arrived and unsettled all of it. The effect you have on them was never planned for, and that is exactly what rattles them most. They are used to being the strongest presence in any room, and you shifted that without realizing. Your energy does not bow to status, and that lack of submission confuses them at their very core. Nobody ever made them feel this exposed, and the fact you do it effortlessly haunts them daily. They replay interactions with you in private, analyzing every word and gesture for a weakness they never find. This message is not about weakness on their part. It is about how extraordinary your presence truly is. Let us see what the cards are showing, because they confirm exactly what this reading tells you. The first card here is the King of Pentacles, and it identifies exactly who we are discussing. The King of Pentacles represents wealth, influence, and material success built through discipline and patience. This is not an ordinary person. They hold real power and have earned a genuine position of authority. They carry themselves with composure and control. Everything around them is structured and deliberately placed. The King of Pentacles does not represent fragile people. It represents grounded and established individuals. That is why your effect on them is so significant, because very little shakes them under normal conditions. Yet here you are, existing in your natural state, and it rattles the foundation they spent decades building. Control is their currency, and you are the one thing in their world that refuses to be managed. The next card coming through is the Five of Swords, revealing the internal conflict you trigger. The Five of Swords says they feel like they are losing a battle they never agreed to fight. Your presence creates a tension they cannot resolve, because the usual strategies do not work here. They cannot outperform what you carry. They cannot buy their way past it, and that realization unsettles them. The Five of Swords confirms they wrestle privately with feeling outmatched by something they cannot define. One of the two things intimidating them lives here. Your emotional authenticity disarms everything they have built. They spent their whole life mastering appearances, and you walk through every room completely unbothered by any. That authenticity is the first thing they will never confess intimidates them, because admitting it means everything crumbles. Then we have the Queen of Wands, and this card exposes the second thing that intimidates them. The Queen of Wands represents fierce confidence, raw magnetism, and a creative fire that cannot be manufactured. The second thing they will never admit is that your natural presence commands more attention than success. People gravitate toward you without effort, and that organic pull is something their achievements cannot replicate. The Queen of Wands confirms you carry warmth and intensity that makes calculated power feel cold. They watch how people respond to you, and it quietly destroys the narrative they built about themselves. Your light is not performed or rehearsed, it simply radiates, and that organic brilliance keeps them awake. They lay in the stillness wondering how you hold an entire room without ever raising your voice. This is the current energy between you, and the cards confirm your effect on them is undeniable. What intimidates them is real. What you carry is genuinely rare. And this reading is just beginning. The truth inside this connection runs deeper than the surface, and the cards are far from finished. Okay, let us come in close and talk about your side, because your energy tells a deep story. You always knew you carry something different, but you never fully grasped the real weight of it. The power living inside you was never requested. It arrived on its own, and it simply never left. You move through life unaware of the impact you leave, and that obliviousness is part of your magic. People shift when you enter a space. Conversations redirect, and you rarely ever notice it happening. That lack of awareness is not ignorance. It is the mark of someone whose strength was never performed. The honest truth about your side is that you never once tried to overwhelm or intimidate anyone. You simply existed fully, and the authenticity of that existence became impossible for the world to ignore. A quiet frustration sits inside you, though, because you feel constantly misread by the people closest. They label your confidence as coldness. They mistake independence for distance, and it drains you deeply. You grew tired of explaining yourself to people who only wanted the version of you that felt safe. You spent years wondering why depth scares people away, when all you ever genuinely offered was honesty. The loneliness from being misunderstood at your level, it shaped you in ways nobody around you ever sees. You learned to move through rooms alone, not because you chose to, but because fitting in felt dishonest. Pretending to be less than what you are felt like betrayal, so you chose solitude over constant shrinking. The cost of your authenticity has been high, and you carry that price silently without any real recognition. The first card on your side is the Seven of Cups, mirroring the emotional fog you navigate. The Seven of Cups says you stand before too many reflections, unsure which one is truly real. You question your own power constantly, wondering if what others see actually matches who you truly are. The world mirrors back an image of strength, but privately you wrestle with doubt that never dissolves. You wonder if your presence intimidates because something is wrong, not because something is extraordinarily right. That internal questioning followed you for years, and it colors every bond you have ever tried to build. The Seven of Cups confirms you overthink how you are perceived, when the truth is far simpler. You are not too much or broken. The way people respond to you simply reflects your real strength. The next card is the Empress, and this one reflects the core of what makes you irreplaceable here. The Empress represents abundance, nurturing energy, and a creative depth that flows without any effort. You give more than you take in every situation, and that generosity of spirit is immediately sensed. Beneath the confidence others see, a tenderness lives that you protect fiercely because it was wounded before. You guard your warmth carefully because the last time you offered it freely, it was used against you. The Empress says your softness is not a flaw. It is what draws the right people toward you. You nourish everyone around you naturally, but you rarely allow yourself to receive that same care back. That imbalance drains you quietly, and you carry the weight of it without asking anyone for any help. You forgot what being held feels like because you became the person who holds everybody else together. The Empress confirms your creative warmth and emotional fire are not common. They are exceptionally rare gifts. Then we have the Page of Pentacles, and this card speaks to where your focus has been lately. The Page of Pentacles says you have been quietly building, investing your energy into a steady transformation. You are focused on becoming more grounded and secure, less dependent on validation from any outside voice. The invisible work you put into yourself lately has been massive, even though most people have not noticed. You plant seeds right now that will produce results nobody anticipated, and that includes even yourself sometimes. The discipline you bring to growth is quiet but relentless, and it sets you apart from everyone. The Page of Pentacles confirms you entered a chapter of real self-investment, and the returns draw near. Your side of this story is not about intimidation. It is about depth the world struggles to match. You never tried to overwhelm anyone. You simply refused to shrink, and that alone shifted everything. Your energy speaks volumes, and every card confirms what you carry is worth far more than you realize. Now, let us go deeper into this, because their side reveals something they would never confess. They carry a weight inside them that nobody in their circle has ever been allowed to witness. Behind the success and composure, a war is happening, and you are at the center of every battle. They built their entire identity around control, and meeting you cracked the foundation of all of it. The intimidation they feel toward you is not anger or resentment. It is raw, unfiltered admiration disguised. They admire you in a way that terrifies them, because admiration means you hold influence over their world. Nobody in their position is used to feeling smaller beside another person, and yet you create that effect. They sit with that realization privately, turning it over in their mind without ever reaching a resolution. Their pride refuses to let them acknowledge what you stir, because the moment they do, everything shifts. Admitting your effect would mean surrendering the image they spent their entire career carefully building. They would rather carry the tension silently than risk appearing vulnerable in front of you. The mask they wear around you takes enormous effort, and the strain of it is beginning to show. Cracks are forming in the version they present, and they know it is only a matter of time. The first card on their side is the Nine of Swords, confirming the anxiety you cause in them. The Nine of Swords represents sleepless nights, racing thoughts, and a mind that refuses to quiet down. They lose sleep over you, not from worry, but from the relentless loop of trying to understand. Their thoughts return to you at the worst hours, replaying interactions and dissecting every small detail. The Nine of Swords says they torment themselves privately because they cannot rationalize what you make them feel. Logic is their comfort zone, and you exist completely outside of it, which drives them absolutely insane. They cannot categorize you, they cannot predict you, and that absence of control is unbearable for them. They are used to solving problems with strategy, but how you affect them has no available solution. The mental exhaustion from fighting your influence has left them drained in ways nobody ever sees. The next card is the King of Cups, revealing the emotional depth they desperately try to conceal. The King of Cups says that beneath the accomplished exterior, they feel everything with startling intensity. They are far more emotional than anyone around them suspects, and your presence amplifies that vulnerability. Around you, their composure cracks at the edges, and those tiny fractures terrify them more than any failure. The King of Cups confirms they possess deep emotional intelligence, but they weaponized it into self-control. Feeling deeply was always their secret, and you are the one person who threatens to expose it completely. They recognized something in you the moment your paths crossed, a depth that mirrored their own hidden world. That recognition shook them because it meant you could see through the version they present to everybody else. Being truly known by you thrills and terrifies them equally, and neither feeling ever fully wins. Then we have the Four of Pentacles, and this card exposes how tightly they grip control around you. The Four of Pentacles represents someone holding everything close, refusing to release even an inch of power. They cling to position and status around you, because without it, they fear they have nothing. Their success became their armor, and the thought of you seeing past it leaves them completely exposed. The Four of Pentacles confirms they guard vulnerability with the same discipline they guard wealth. Every interaction with you is calculated, measured, and carefully controlled to prevent any cracks from showing. The spontaneity you bring terrifies them because it demands a rawness they have spent their whole life avoiding. They rehearse conversations with you beforehand, choosing words that reveal nothing of the storm beneath them. The effort to appear unaffected by you is exhausting, and that exhaustion is slowly wearing them. They wonder how much longer they can sustain the act, because every encounter with you weakens the performance. Their side of this connection is built entirely on concealment, and every card confirms the cost of hiding. They crumble quietly behind the walls they built, and your presence is why those walls are failing. This is what lives beneath their polished surface, and the cards say the cracks are spreading faster now. So let us talk about what they are preparing to do, because the action is already in motion. The walls they maintained are no longer holding, and their next move reflects someone at a breaking point. They cannot sustain the act any longer, and the decision forming inside them shifts from silence to contact. The resistance they carried is collapsing under its own weight, and forward movement is replacing all of it. What comes next is not impulsive. It is the result of months of internal pressure finally releasing. They are approaching a moment where pretending costs more than confessing, and that math just changed for them. Something external is also pushing them, a situation or event that forces their hand sooner than they wanted. The shift in their behavior will be noticeable, and it begins with them lowering their guards slowly. Expect subtle but deliberate moves, gestures that feel different from anything they have offered you before now. They are going to create opportunities to be near you, manufacturing reasons that appear casual but are not. The calculated distance they kept is about to shrink, and you will feel the change before explanation. The first card here is the Six of Pentacles, confirming a major shift in how they engage. The Six of Pentacles represents giving and receiving, and they are about to start offering you access. Access to their time, their attention, and parts of their worlds they previously kept locked away from you. They are going to extend invitations that carry weight, placing you closer to their inner circle deliberately. The Six of Pentacles confirms generosity is replacing guardedness, and that transition is already underway now. The doors they bolted shut are swinging open, and each opening brings them closer to your space. They start sharing resources and space, not to impress, but because the walls no longer serve them. This card says the power dynamic between you is about to rebalance, shifting from distance into real exchange. The giving here is not transactional. It comes from a genuine need to bridge the gap they created. You will notice them offering things they never would have before, small openings that signal a massive shift. The next card is the Knight of Swords, confirming the speed and directness of their approaching move. The Knight of Swords represents swift and decisive action, someone charging forward without looking backward. They are done deliberating, and the next step toward you will carry a sharpness that surprises. The Knight of Swords says their approach will feel sudden, almost urgent, like a decision made overnight. In truth, it was building for months, but the execution happens in a burst that catches everyone. They may initiate a direct conversation, one that cuts through every layer of politeness and avoidance instantly. The Knight of Swords does not arrive for timid approaches. It confirms bold and unapologetic forward momentum. Their delivery might lack polish, but the honesty behind it will be undeniable and impossible to misinterpret. Once they start talking, the momentum will carry them further than they originally planned to go with you. The courage required for this move has been accumulating silently, and it finally reached a tipping point. Then we have the Wheel of Fortune, confirming that timing itself is accelerating in your favor. The Wheel of Fortune says the cycle is turning, and the stagnation that defined this connection ends. A destined intersection is forming between your paths, and neither willpower nor fear can prevent it anymore. Circumstances beyond their control will push them into your path in ways neither of you planned. The universe is engineering encounters, removing barriers, and creating collisions that feel fated and inevitable. The Wheel of Fortune confirms this is not just personal willpower. It is destiny actively rearranging the board. They will find themselves in situations where avoiding you becomes impossible, and those moments will force truth. The timing of what unfolds is not random. It is orchestrated by an energy much larger than both. External events are aligning to create a window that did not exist before, and it opens now. The action phase is locked in, and every card confirms movement that is swift and irreversible now. They are no longer debating whether to approach. The only question left is how honest they will be. What comes next will break the pattern entirely, and the connection between you enters uncharted territory now.
Now, this is where their hidden truth surfaces, because what they conceal from you goes beyond anything obvious. They harbor confessions about you that would alter this entire dynamic if they let the words escape. What they suppress is not small. It is a complete rewriting of who they pretend to be. They constructed a persona that needs nobody, and you are the living proof that persona is a lie. The first confession they will never voice is that they need you more than any achievement earned. Their success feels hollow without your presence near it, and that emptiness follows them into every room. They accomplished everything the world told them to chase, and none of it filled your empty space. The second confession cuts even deeper because it involves how they truly see themselves compared to you. They believe you sit above them, not in status, but in the ways that truly matter. Your emotional courage makes their material power feel insignificant, and that comparison haunts them privately. They measure themselves against your presence constantly, and every time they come up short in their own eyes. They watch you live openly and authentically, and it mirrors every compromise they made for success. You represent the version of life they sacrificed, and standing near you reminds them of that cost constantly. The envy they carry is not malicious. It is the ache of recognizing something pure they traded away. They would trade half of what they built if it meant feeling the freedom you carry so naturally. The first card here is the Devil, revealing the obsessive quality of what they keep hidden. The Devil says their attachment to you has crossed beyond admiration into something they cannot control anymore. They think about you compulsively, returning to memories during moments that have nothing to do. Your image invades their mind uninvited during meetings and meals and late hours when the world goes quiet. The Devil confirms they feel chained to what you stir, bound by a fascination no logic can break. They tried to detach from you mentally, and every attempt failed, leaving them more entangled than before. The harder they pull away from you mentally, the tighter the grip becomes, and they stopped fighting. The obsession is not dangerous, but it is consuming, and they would be humiliated if you knew. They guard this confession above all others because it shatters the image of control they built. The next card is the Two of Wands, revealing the private fantasies they build around your connection. The Two of Wands represents vision and planning, and it confirms they already mapped a future involving you. They imagined what partnership with you would look like, not just romantic, but something built on mutual respect. In private moments, they designed a life that includes you standing directly and permanently beside them. The Two of Wands says they see you as their equal, worthy of sharing what they built. That confession terrifies them because it means your rejection would dismantle more than just their feelings. They invested emotionally in a vision never shared, and the weight of carrying it alone crushes them. The fantasy is detailed and specific, not vague. They thought about this more than you could imagine. Late nights are where that vision lives loudest, when pretense falls and they allow themselves to want fully. Then we have Justice, and this card exposes the moral reckoning happening inside them about their own behavior. Justice says they know they handled this connection poorly, and guilt sits heavy on their conscience about it. They recognize the distance they kept was unfair, and the games with your attention were beneath them. A private shame lives inside them for how they masked their feelings, knowing you deserved directness all along. They replay moments where they could have been honest, and the regret from each missed chance accumulates daily. Justice confirms they judged themselves harshly for the imbalance they created, hiding while you remained open. They understand the scales are uneven, and part of them wants to correct that before time runs out. The confession here is accountability. They know they owe you honesty and have been withholding it. What they carry in silence is not small. It is a complete hidden world built entirely around you. Every confession living inside them points toward one truth. You matter to them beyond any measure they possess. The cards exposed what they guard fiercely, and the weight of these secrets is becoming impossible. Okay, let us bring this reading to a close because the near future holds a powerful shift. The weeks ahead bring a turning point in this dynamic, one neither of you can prepare for. The tension that defined this connection is reaching a threshold, and what follows that is raw honesty. They are going to reveal themselves in a way that catches you off guard, and it changes everything. The mask falls and the walls lower, and what stands before you is someone you never fully saw. The first card here is the sun, confirming that clarity and warmth are flooding this connection. The sun represents truth exposed in full light, no shadows and no hiding. Everything becomes visible now. The confusion that surrounded this bond dissolves, and what replaces it is understanding you both craved. The sun confirms a joyful resolution is approaching, not forced or manufactured, but organic and deeply earned. This card does not arrive for endings, it arrives for beginnings. And the beginning ahead carries real light. Following that, we see temperance, and this card confirms balance is finally being restored between you both. Temperance says the extremes that defined this connection, the push and pull, are settling into harmony. The imbalance of power and vulnerability is correcting itself, and what forms is something built on equality. Temperance confirms that patience served its purpose, and the timing of what unfolds is divinely orchestrated. Now, here is my advice, and I need you to receive this with full attention because it matters. Do not chase what is already walking toward you, and do not shrink to make their arrival comfortable. The two things about you that intimidate them are your greatest gifts. Never dull them for anyone. Your authenticity and your natural magnetism are not flaws to manage. They are powers to carry with pride. When they finally stand before you unmasked, meet them with the same openness you have always offered. Do not punish them for the delay or reward it. Simply meet them exactly where truth begins. You earned this moment by refusing to become less, and that refusal is what brought them here. The message that came through today was this: a successful person is intimidated by two things about you, two things they will never willingly admit: your emotional authenticity and your effortless magnetic presence. The King of Pentacles confirmed who they are, a person of wealth and influence built on discipline. The Five of Swords confirmed the internal conflict you trigger, a battle they never agreed to fight. The Queen of Wands confirmed your natural magnetism, a fire and warmth that cannot be bought or manufactured. The Seven of Cups confirmed your inner fog, the constant questioning of your power and perception. The Empress confirmed your nurturing depth, a creative abundance and tenderness that flows without any effort. The Page of Pentacles confirmed your quiet growth, a chapter of serious self-investment producing real results. The Nine of Swords confirmed their sleepless anxiety, a mind that races with thoughts of you every night. The King of Cups confirmed the emotional depth they hide, feelings of startling intensity beneath composure. The Four of Pentacles confirmed their grip on control, guarding vulnerability with the same discipline as wealth. The Six of Pentacles confirmed access is opening,
generosity replacing the guardedness that kept you distant. The Knight of Swords confirmed swift, direct action, a bold move arriving with sharpness and undeniable honesty. The Wheel of Fortune confirmed destiny is turning, timing and fate engineering encounters neither of you planned. The Devil confirmed their hidden obsession, an attachment to you that crossed beyond anything they can control. The Two of Wands confirmed private visions, a future they mapped in silence with you standing beside them. Justice confirmed their moral reckoning, the guilt and accountability they carry for withholding their truth. The Sun confirmed clarity flooding this connection, a joyful resolution approaching that dissolves every shadow. Temperance confirmed balance is returning, the extremes of